Not everyone is focusing on Iowa, though. 1 week after the caucuses is the important New Hampshire primary. That's where Republican candidate and former Utah Governor Jon Huntsman is campaigning. He joins us from Manchester this morning. Governor, good morning.
Hi, Jeff. Great to be with you.
Glad you could be here. We just heard Jan talk about the electability issue. Is Mitt Romney the only electable candidate?
No, I think you've got other electable candidates. One of the reasons I'm here in New Hampshire, in Iowa, there's activity playing out. They pick corn in Iowa. They actually pick presidents here in New Hampshire. This is a state where they want to know your heart and soul. They want to know what's in your head and your vision for America. When it comes right down to it, there are going to be two key issues that I think are going to drive this election. And Mitt Romney is not the one who's going to be able to drive those home. They're both deficits, Jeff. One is an economic deficit, and it's going to take someone who can approach debt and spending and who can fire the engines of growth, much like I did as governor of the state of Utah. But the second deficit is one of a different kind. It's a trust deficit. People no longer have trust toward their institutions of power in this country. People don't trust Congress anymore. Everybody knows that Congress needs term limits. Everybody knows that we need to shut the revolving door in Congress that allows members of Congress to file right on through to become lobbyists. Everybody knows on Wall Street, where there's no trust either, that we've got to deal with banks that are too big to fail. And I'm here to tell you that we need a president who's going to be as aggressive on the trust side in dealing with that deficit as on the economic side.
Governor, we see Rick Santorum now surging in Iowa, where he concentrated almost exclusively. You're concentrating, as we've seen, exclusively on New Hampshire. Are you hoping for the same sort of thing?
We're going to get the same sort of thing, Jeff. We've come from nowhere. I used to be the margin of error candidate. Last week, we were in the teens in 3 different polls. We overtook Ron Paul for number 3 position in the state. Today, we will celebrate public event number 130. We're putting out the old Adlai Stevenson shoe leather. We're doing it the old-fashioned way. It's handshake by handshake. People want to know who you are. They want to know what is inside. They want to know what your vision is for this great country. And that's got to be done at the ground level.
Governor,
so we're earning it.
What do you consider a win in New Hampshire? I know you say it's to beat market expectations. Let's say, so the latest poll puts you at 10, let's say. If you get an 11 in New Hampshire, you consider that a win?
Well, no, we've been in the mid-teens here as well. I'm telling you that market expectations were very low as we started this journey. We were at 0. We're the underdog. We're coming up with each passing week. The market expectations change, and I think by the end of our journey here, as we approach the 10th, the market expectations are going to be higher, and we're going to have to exceed those market expectations, whatever they might be. But I'm here to tell you, every town hall meeting we're doing, just like last night, they're bigger and bigger with more people who are turning out, and we're connecting with our message, Jeff. And I have every confidence that, as always, New Hampshire is going to upend conventional wisdom. People always think they know how these elections are going to turn out, and then comes the vote out of New Hampshire, and it upends conventional wisdom. And that's going to determine electability, who ultimately can go on to beat Barack Obama. The rap on me has always been, we know he can win the general election, but can he win the primary phase of this election cycle? And we're going to start by doing that right here in New Hampshire.
Governor, if you had to do anything differently in your campaign, what would it have been?
I'll let the historians deal with that. You can only look forward, look at what lies ahead. We're gaining ground and moving up as opposed to moving down. That's the good news coming out of our campaign. In terms of what goes right and wrong, like any startup organization, you'll have to let history and historians deal with that one.
And Governor, very quickly in the 30 seconds we have left here, I do want to ask you about North Korea, which is in transition now. As you know, you spent a lot of time in China. You're well aware of what happens in that area of the world. What do you make of it?
Well, I say there's not a very good outcome coming out of North Korea. Looks like Kim Jong-un is successfully consolidating his power, which means you have the continuation of the most reckless, brutal dictatorship in the world today. A less good outcome would be an implosion of North Korea as a nation state, in which case you'd see millions of people flee into China over the Yalu River. And then you'd have some loose nuclear weapons, probably a half dozen. That would be a huge international concern. But as for the United States, Northeast Asia is probably 25% of the world's GDP. When you've got a reckless regime like North Korea, it impacts trade, it impacts the flow of commerce, it impacts our economic relationship with South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, parts parts of China and parts of Russia. And I say we have an economic interest at stake, and we must do whatever we can to preserve stability. That is coordinating with our allies, South Korea and Japan, and ensure that we're in deep talks with Russia and China to ensure, first and foremost, stability on the peninsula. And second of all, to make sure that if there is some implosion of the nation state of North Korea, that people have an eye on those nuclear weapons.
Governor Jon Huntsman, always a good conversation. We appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.